Right now, in the mountains of Chile, a brand new telescope just started searching for something nobody has ever seen. Astronomers are calling it Planet 9. Nobody has ever photographed it. Nobody has directly detected it. And yet, for almost 10 years, some of the most respected astronomers in the world have been certain it's out there. The man who first made the case is the same astronomer who got Pluto kicked out of the Planet Club in the first place. And this year, for the first time, the telescope built to finally settle the question is actually running. This is the real story of Planet 9. The evidence, the decade of searching, the scientists who think it's a mistake, and the machine that might finally prove someone right. You're watching Mindwired. This is the story of Planet 9, a world nobody has ever seen. The scientists who are sure it's there, the ones who think they're wrong, and the telescope that just started the search that might finally decide it. Chapter 1. The Man Who Killed Pluto. In October of 2003, an astronomer named Mike Brown was using a telescope at Palomar Observatory in California, looking for objects far beyond Neptune. What he found was a body out past Pluto, almost exactly the same size. He named it Eris, after the Greek goddess of strife and discord. The name turned out to be fitting. If Eris was really a planet's twin, then either Eris was the 10th planet or Pluto had never really been one. Astronomers couldn't have it both ways anymore. On August 24th, 2006, the International Astronomical Union met in Prague and voted. Pluto was reclassified as a dwarf planet. Mike Brown became, quite literally, the man who killed Pluto. He later wrote a real memoir about it, with the actual title, How I Killed Pluto and Why It Had It Coming. A decade later, the same man would be the one telling the world there was a real, undiscovered planet hiding at the edge of the solar system. Chapter 2. The Pattern That Shouldn't Exist. In 2014, two other astronomers, Chad Trujillo and Scott Shepard, discovered a distant icy object called 2012 VP113. They noticed something strange. That object, and a dozen others like it, all had orbits that pointed in a suspiciously similar direction. They couldn't explain why. They just flagged it. Mike Brown and a younger colleague at Caltech named Konstantin Batygin took a closer look. They found 6 of the most distant, best measured objects in that group. All 6 shared something specific. The point in their orbit where they swing closest to the sun all clustered in nearly the same direction, and their orbital planes were all tilted the same way, too. Batygin and Brown calculated the odds of that happening by pure random chance. Their answer? Roughly 1 in 15,000. There was one explanation that fit cleanly. A real, massive, undiscovered planet. Its own gravity herding all 6 objects into that same pattern. On January 20th, 2016, Caltech announced it publicly. Mike Brown's own words, "This would be a real 9th planet. There have only been 2 true planets discovered since ancient times, and this would be a 3rd. Konstantin Batygin put it even more plainly. For the first time in over 150 years, there is solid evidence that the solar system's planetary census is incomplete. Chapter 3. A world we've never seen. If it's real, what exactly is out there? The 2016 paper estimated something more than 10 times the mass of Earth. A later refinement, published in 2021, narrowed that down to about 6 times Earth's mass, something like a small, distant cousin of Neptune. Its orbit would be nothing like ours. On average, about 300 times farther from the Sun than Earth is, on a path so long it would take somewhere between 10 and 20,000 years to complete a single trip around the Sun. For comparison, the last ice age ended about 12,000 years ago. Planet 9, if it's real, hasn't even finished 1 lap since then. It would be so far away and so cold that no telescope has ever caught even a single point of reflected light from it. Every image you've ever seen of it is not real. It's an artist's guess. Chapter 4. The 10-year hunt. Since 2016, Brown and Batygin's own search has leaned heavily on one instrument, the Subaru telescope on the summit of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. Other teams joined in with their own surveys. the Dark Energy Survey, an archive search using the Zwicky Transient Facility, even old infrared data going back decades. A decade of searching has not found Planet 9. It has, however, found more objects like the ones that started this whole idea. In July of 2025, the Subaru team announced a real discovery, a new object nicknamed Ammonite, only the fourth of its kind ever confirmed. Here's the complication. Ammonite's orbit does not line up with the others. If anything, it weakens the original pattern, not strengthens it. The discovery's lead researcher, Yukun Huang, said it plainly. The fact that Ammonite's current orbit does not align with those of the other three sednoids lowers the likelihood of the Planet 9 hypothesis. 10 years of looking had added a new piece of evidence, and that new piece cut against the theory it was supposed to help confirm. Chapter 5. The scientists who think they're wrong. Not every astronomer accepts the Planet 9 explanation. Some think the entire pattern might be an illusion. Their argument is about where astronomers happen to be looking, not what's actually out there. These objects are only bright enough to spot during one narrow part of a millennia-long orbit. Ground telescopes don't scan the whole sky evenly. They favor certain seasons, certain patches, certain depths. A University of Michigan researcher named Kevin Napier ran the numbers a different way, correcting for exactly that bias. His result: once you account for where and when astronomers were actually searching, the supposed alignment disappears completely. Statistically, it looked like nothing more than random chance. Brown and Batygin disagree and have published their own rebuttal. This is not settled. Both sides are still actively publishing papers against each other. There are other explanations that need no hidden planet at all. One astronomer proposed that a disk of many small icy bodies acting together could fake the same pattern through their own combined gravity. A University of Washington astronomer named Pedro Bernardinelli, who works directly on this kind of survey, put the real state of the debate about as honestly as anyone has. The agnostic perspective now is that we do not have enough data either way. Mike Brown, for his part, hasn't backed down. As recently as 2024, he said plainly, "I think it is very unlikely that P9 does not exist." Two respected scientists looking at the same handful of objects, reaching opposite conclusions. That's not a scandal. That's just what real, unfinished science looks like. Chapter 6. It keeps getting stranger. Even Mike Brown doesn't chase every candidate that comes along. In 2025, a separate team combed 40-year-old infrared satellite data and found a possible signal far out in the dark. Brown's public response was blunt. Whether it is real or not, it is 100% not Planet 9. The orbit simply didn't match the pattern his own theory predicted. Then, in August of 2025, a Princeton team proposed something else entirely. A second, separate, smaller hidden world, closer in, based on a completely different piece of evidence. They're calling that one Planet Y. It's not a rival explanation for the same objects. It's a completely separate mystery, hiding in a completely different part of the data. Another team modeled something stranger still. A small chance that our solar system didn't grow this planet at all, but simply captured a rogue world drifting through the galaxy billions of years ago. 10 years in, this isn't one clean mystery with one clean answer waiting. It's gotten more complicated, not less. Chapter 7. The machine that might decide it. For a decade, the honest answer to does Planet 9 exist has been nobody knows for certain. That may finally be about to change. The Vera C, Rubin Observatory, built high in the mountains of Chile, is designed to photograph the entire visible sky over and over every few nights for 10 straight years. On June 30th, 2026, its main 10-year survey officially began. Weeks later, its first real batch of data started reaching astronomers. One veteran of this exact kind of search, astronomer Scott Shepard, put real odds on it. If Planet 9 is out there the way Brown and Batygin describe it, Rubin has roughly a 70 to 80% chance of actually finding it. Konstantin Batygin himself, speaking just weeks before this was filmed, said it as directly as a scientist can: we will get that new batch of discoveries basically starting this summer, starting summer 2026. It will be a direct test of all lines of evidence. As of right now, no announcement has been made, no detection, no exclusion. The search is simply, finally, actually running. What stays with me about this story isn't whether Planet 9 turns out to be real. It's that a handful of frozen rocks, barely visible even to our best telescopes, were enough to make some of the smartest people alive seriously ask whether we've been missing an entire planet. And it's that real science doesn't need the mystery solved to be worth following. A decade of disagreement, bias corrections, dead-end candidates, and rival theories is not a failure. It's just what looking for the truth actually looks like in real time. Somewhere in Chile tonight, a telescope built for exactly this question is scanning the sky again. Nobody knows yet what it will find. If a planet nobody has ever seen doesn't sound strange enough, wait until you hear the story of a machine NASA built to last 5 years. That's still flying 49 years later and is only now starting to go dark. Subscribe to Mindwired. If any of this messed with your head a little, well, that's exactly the point. And it only happens because people like you keep showing up. And
hit subscribe right now for it. It costs you nothing, and it's the entire reason Mindwired keeps making videos like this. Subscribe.